Any student of politics will tell you these are the mechanics of fascism. And sooner or later, that's where Keir Starr will take us to prevent intervention against Israel. And those are the stakes against which the young people now on hunger strike have pitted their lives. And those of us who have been involved in Ireland in the hunger strikes of 1980 and 1981 understand and know what families and friends of the young people on hunger strike at this point are going through. And it's no exaggeration to say that our hearts break for you, because it was probably the most traumatic period of the struggle from 1968 until now, notwithstanding Bloody Sunday, notwithstanding the assassinations, notwithstanding the Diplock courts, notwithstanding the conveyor belt to prison, the inhumane treatment of prisoners, the removal of political status that led to the hunger strike, the trauma of being involved in a race against time to save the lives of young people who had been left with nothing but their lives to resist with, stays with all of us until this day. And so when I speak to you tonight in solidarity with the prisoners and their families, it is to call upon everyone in the room, as both Gary and Tommy has, to do whatever you feel you can do to make sure that every decent human being in Britain is aware of the government action. We are all familiar, because you just see it all day, every day on Facebook and Twitter and TikTok and the front pages of newspapers. We are all familiar with what's happening in America. And we look at Trump and Elon Musk and MAGA and ICE, and there's a sense in Britain and Europe that we are all immune to what is happening in America. Because what we're looking at there is clearly on the Mussolini model, the embedding of fascism in the American state. But if you cast your eyes nearer home and look at the Labour government of today, a Labour government who has, not for the first time, of Labour governments, never mind Tories, proved the point that the colonial mindset is deeply embedded in the political class of England, particularly, regardless of whether they are Labours, Liberals, Greens or anything else. And that's understandable, because it's very difficult when everything you own and possess was built and secured on the rape, plunder and conquest of every other continent on the face of the earth. So it's not hard to get ideas about your station and think that your privileges are rights. And that's a problem with today's faux Labour, as I call it. But a Labour government, not a Tory government, not a Trumpian MAGA, a Labour government has abused the rule of law, has politically weaponised the law and the courts in the interests of preserving the state of Israel. And you have to ask yourself why. Why have they done that? And if you really want to understand how deeply embedded that is, you have to go back to the Judeo-Christian crusades to rid the world of Islam, which was really a colonial project to defeat the Ottoman Empire and take over the Palestinian lands. And that's how long it's been going on. But Keir Starmer's government have redefined terrorism. And if you cast your minds again to, not even to the question of Palestine, to the young, seriously mentally disturbed and neglected young child who still, as a young adult, not fully in control of his own emotions or behaviour, kill young children going to a dance lesson. And very, very clear that this young man's whole life, he was absolutely a victim of trauma and seriously mentally ill. That Prime Minister Starmer said he would change the laws of terrorism to protect people, basically protect people by reducing those who are mentally ill, those who were neurologically disturbed, those who were the victims of the most inhumane treatment that resulted in that kind of trauma, and actually make violence used by the mentally ill an act of terrorism. And nobody said anything. Nobody said anything. And then, not very long after that, he obviously thought, since he decided that went down well, he would then weaponize the law to make legal action against his colonial project in Israel, legal action against his complicity in genocide and war crime and the militarization of Europe. He would create a law that would turn peaceful protesters in direct action into terrorists. And wider than that, he has now indicated through his new Home Secretary, that he will abolish jury trials for the majority of cases for people before the courts. Any student of politics will tell you these are the mechanics of fascism. And sooner or later, that's where Keir Starmer will take us to prevent intervention against Israel. And those are the stakes against which the young people now on hunger strike have pitted their lives. And it breaks my heart to say it, but unless we begin to build a mass movement to protect them, they will lose their lives. I think of that. I think of that in every waking hour. That at this time of my life I will live again in what is supposed to be a civilized and democratic country. To see good people, pacifists in this case, people who are protesting against genocide, against militarization, against terrorism, may in prison die of hunger. Because unless we can create a mass campaign and awaken the conscience of the people, be in no doubt, Keir Starmer doesn't have a conscience. At this stage of the state of genocide in Palestine, we need to know those elite governments of Europe have no conscience. They are the pawns of military might. They are the pawns of the weapon industry. They are pawns of the last game of capitalism and colonialism and a new world order. And that's not what I would be telling the people at the chapel gates if I was out telling them to support the people, because they can't believe that. They will learn that through struggle, as will some people maybe in the room. But we have to do what it takes. I would urge people to look at every decent movement and see how you can link with them. Look at all the Irish people living in England. They know, and many of them have forgotten our history, and they need to know that their conscience requires them to speak out for the prisoners. If you look at the broad Palestinian support movement and 100,000 people, 500,000 people on the streets demanding an end to genocide, you need to get them to demand an end to the Terrorism Act, to have all those young people released from prison and placed in a hospital where they can physically recover and remain on bail until the charges are gone through. And we need to do that together. This is the point at which my family said to me, Bernadette, everybody was feeling all right till you started. But I believe we can do it. I believe we can all do it. I believe that if everybody does the very small, but they can, whether it's with their neighbours, whether it's young women at the school gates with other mums, whether it's in your workplace, you have to raise the conversation. You have to tell people it's happening all day, every day, in a language that they understand. You have to take it to your council, as Gary has done. Take it to your trade union movement. Take it to your church, whatever your church is. Take it to the Women's Institute. Take it to the Mother and Toddlers group. But everywhere you can have a voice, you have to raise it. Because that's what it's going to take. And do it in the knowledge that you can do it. That if everybody's doing that wee bit, we can defeat this. And we can build that resilience, and through that learning and winning small and large gains and defeating this abuse of law, this terrorism by the government, we can build a wider movement that brings people together for a better place, for a better world, for an end to the terror and genocide that is Israel, and holding people to account. And we can do it because if young people can lay their lives passively on the line and refuse to eat rather than submit to the level of lies and injustice and cruelty and they are subjected to, then we can do our bit. And I know you will, and I know you can count on us. To quote Jeremy Corbyn's oft said, we are many and they are few. We just need to stretch our elbows out, to link arms, to believe in each other, and to move forward. And I send my deepest solidarity, my promise to do all I can, and strength and love to the prisoners and to their families, and to all of you. I would ask you to take care of each other, physically and emotionally, in the days ahead. Because there's at least one flaming cop sitting in that room. taking down notes and evidence. Yeah, no point in looking for him or her. You just keep on going and always charge a wee bit into the meetings so that at least the buggers have to pay something. In person, but all people of conscience know it is not Palestine Action that is a terrorist organisation. It is to our shame and disgrace of the British Labour movement and the unions. It is the government sitting in power in the United Kingdom at the moment. And we know the measure of them because for generations they have never looked like anything else to the Irish. Thank you.